Three ways to calm the body. While we're going through some of this material, you will find, and probably in your real life on a fairly regular basis, you will find your body overwhelmed with emotions that we don't like very much. Anxiety, sudden anger, panic. There are a variety of different ways that you can use these, and you can use them anytime and anywhere. One of the simplest and easiest, and also one of the fastest to do anywhere, kind of unobtrusively, is to blow out on the pad of your left thumb hard, like you're blowing up a balloon, like you're blowing up a stiff balloon, and to really empty your lungs. You can do it 2 or 3 times. And one of the most amazing things in the world, and I have no idea why, it's something to do with your vagus nerve, which is related to your left hand and your heart. What it does is lower your heart rate right away. 2 or 3 deep breaths and your heart rate will go down, depending on where it starts, 15, 20 points, which automatically will make you calmer. Another way to do the same thing, often used for anxious kids, to refocus on right now, is called the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. So you use 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can physically touch, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. Usually because we're not always somewhere we're smelling and tasting things, like a kitchen. It's super easy. So the thing is, when you're panicking, especially, this is particularly good for panic, but it's good for any kind of anxiety or just sense of overwhelm. The first thing you need to do is make sure that your environment is actually not dangerous right now. You know, it would be silly to calm yourself down if you are in a bear attack. So the first thing you look for is 5 things you can see, which forces you to look around your real environment right now and see what there is. Is there a speeding train coming towards you? You should probably move, not worry about calming down. If there isn't anything currently dangerous in your environment, that's 1 piece of information you didn't have a minute ago. So now you'll listen. Was there something that you heard that made you feel frightened? Is that still happening? Can you identify it? Or is there nothing that you heard? And then things that you can feel. Is something touching you? Should you move your hand off a hot stove? Are you being poked from behind? Are you uncomfortable somehow? Does it feel like your knees are too tight or your chest feels heavy? The things you can physically feel, 3 of them. And then 2 things you can smell. You can usually smell the fresh air, maybe the old incense, some of the perfume you still have on, you know, deodorant, whatever. You can smell something, and something you can taste, either the last sip of coffee you had. My water is over here. I was looking for my coffee, but I don't have it anymore. If you can't taste anything else, you can taste what's inside your mouth, because we're not aware of it all the time. But when you bring your body awareness back to your current space, your whole body will calm down, your mind will slow down, and everything will seem a little bit easier. Now, the third way to do this, there's 2 different parts to it. It's go high and go under. The first one is probably adapted from when all the people in the world lived on the savannah, and climbing to a high tree was actually a way of climbing to safety, but also to be able to see dangers coming from a long way away. So when you climb into a high space with a long view, a bunk bed, standing at the top of the stairs, looking down the hall, pretty much anything that's high up with a long view will make a big difference to how your blood pressure feels, because suddenly you can see things coming from farther away and you're not quite so worried about your immediate space right around you. The other one is to go under. It's called a dive reflex. Not quite sure what it's about, might be related to water mammals, but the fact is, even with intense exercise, underwater, your heart rate will not go up. So consequently, if your heart rate is way up, you can actually lower it by going into water. Not always super convenient, but it also works if you drink 2 cups of water pretty quickly, or if you cover your face with a cold face cloth. So little known physiological reactions from blowing on your thumb to washing your face with a little bit of cold water can lower your blood pressure and lower your heart rate and recenter your ability to focus on what's really happening right now and calm you down when you're reacting or overreacting to something that's not really happening.